But that's I suppose that might be that's what I'm saying. I know because I mean.
That might be a video too long to so these they're not with the
That's hard to say.
how many people have we got?
Just put the link up and see if the app's not working, but I can still see the cameras on. So I'm hoping it's working. Hello. How you going? Good. Okay. Oh, yeah. Good. What was this? I didn't realise it was the full birthday. Oh, damn it.
We forgot to send you the
I didn't even know it was 2 p.m. I'm really sorry about that. I didn't realise.
Does she have to put her name in or sergeant?
I wrote it down on the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Sorry, I forgot. And I went out for Melbourne Cup. This was actually my Melbourne Cup
Dress.
spring dress. Yes.
The boys treat you to a Melbourne Cup lunch.
No, Mum did. They gave me the day off, so that was nice. I'm actually happy to be on Melbourne Cup. Yeah. I've been to a flash do for Melbourne Cup.
Oh, so where did you go?
Ferris.
Oh,
Nice. I didn't really care much about the cup.
No, I never care about that.
But champagne and
Beautiful
lovely
lunch.
food and amazing dessert bar and a fashion parade, but it was just Westfield.
Oh, whatever. You'd look more useful in your dress. Oh, that's nice. I didn't even know they were doing anything. So it wasn't very
It was really good. It was. We got early bird tickets. It was $80 a head for 3-course meal
all that?
and the alcohol.
Oh, wow, that was good. Oh, what on your mum? Good spot.
Very civilized.
That's what you want for your birthday, something like that, where you can dress up. And
Exactly. And it's so nice and close to home.
that's true. Yeah. So how did you get home? Did you drive?
Andrew, my oldest son, picked us up.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. It's like, yeah, we finished uni by then.
He's on swap back at the moment.
Oh,
so.
is he?
Andy.
Yeah, that's nice. He's not doing much.
Hey, Jamie's enrolled at Martin Senior. Did I tell you?
Who?
My Jamie.
Jamie?
Yes, he's found. He wants to
tried Martin.
He did open access,
Oh,
but
that's
he did like the disability course. Now he wants to do real school. Thank you very much. He left school, but then he said he was having
He's
a
doing
gap
mechanic
year.
stuff.
Yeah.
Now, what happened?
He said he's having a gap year apparently.
If only we'd known.
Yes.
We didn't know that, but now
And
we do.
we had an enrollment meeting at Martin Senior College, enrolled to do physics with him because he found a astrophysics uni course that you can do without, but you don't need an ATA, you can sit there.
Oh, yeah,
whatever that
the
test is,
entrance
but you
one.
do need physics. So yeah, he's gone from disability to, but he's capable. He just needs
someone to push him and get him going.
Yeah.
So is he still going to do the mechanics stuff?
Yes, because he's only going to do the part time.
Okay, yes, so take a
Yeah, but
while.
he's got that lovely mentor that comes
Yeah.
He'll be a
He's a
busy
busy boy. You will not have couch time anymore.
And we were at it's hilarious. We're at the enrolment meeting where the counsellor said,
And so did you know he was going to say this? Or?
I enrolled, he asked me to make the meeting. I was a complete shock, like, who's going to be? And she said, Martin's quite different to an ordinary school. Like, we don't have uniforms, we don't have homeroom because it's adult based.
Okay, yeah.
And we don't have bells. And he's like, oh, it's okay, I'll put them in my phone. Because you need bells.
No, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, what a sweetie. Oh,
It's
good
okay
on
if you
you.
don't have bells, I'll work around you.
I'll make mine. Okay, right. I can accommodate myself.
So now he's very excited and February the 6th.
So he's okay next year.
February the 6th, Mum.
Oh god, that'll be an anxious day. You'll be taking the day off, another day off. February 6th. Oh dear. Well, I've got two. Oh no, I've got two. I also bought anything you do. I got two schools that are definite yeses to write the application. So I've just been writing the names as the email comes in. But after today, I'm just going to say like what are the main points of this program and re-email it out so if I can get any more. Yeah, because they're both from the same partnership. So I was hoping like 7 schools in that partnership. So I thought if I could get 4, but then that's, then we can start little PLCs with the teachers in that partnership. So that's what I'll write in the email.
I don't know, but nothing to do with partnerships. That's
A bonus. Yeah. Well, I'll put it in like well, that's if I'm in my job, but hopefully.
Except I don't know that
Sleep.
It's right, you're a slip of the thing.
I wish I was. Sleeping like really? So senior leader, learning improvement primary. But I was like, that doesn't make sense. It's like learning improvement primary. The primary learning improvement team. I don't know. It just sounds ridiculous. But anyway, you just go with it, don't you? So we've been a packet for CPAP and then sleep for the packet for CPAP. Yeah, well, because it's going up.
What's that?
How much money? I think they're senior leader B2s. Yeah. So it would be the same as an AP or a deputy. Yeah. Cool. I know, and because we were a leader than B1s, which when you read the criteria for B1s, it's like making change in yourself. And on my side, I make it 12 sides. I make change at every side, every day. Like this year, never been B1s,
What's that? Leading change across the whole
2 partnerships. Yeah, like I've got 12 schools, some have got 16, some have got 20. So that's good that they're recognising that now. Yeah. So, oh gosh, can I just do anyway, you don't really get a choice to, but anyway, I'll
have to be in both partnerships separately.
no, they've put them together. Yeah, so they decided to go together and do a 1.0.
Hopefully it's just going
Until now. Lucky, otherwise you can do it
I would share, but you've been sitting up lately. Yeah, sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. We might just go to start. As people come in, we'll just get going. My name is Karen Butler. I'm the Project Officer for Primary Learners in the Learning Improvement Division, Learning Technology. And I'd like to introduce you to Mandy Demetriadis from
Hi, everyone.
Makers Empire. Some of you may have known Mandy before when she was working in the TEFL team. And at the back, we have the Anthony and Roland from Makers Empire. Do you want your titles?
Yeah,
Well, introduce yourselves.
I'm the director and co-founder. I'm co-founder and CTO.
Thank you. Okay, so we're just going to go through a bit of an overview of 3D printing, what it's about, how it works in schools, and what this project is about. So I'm going to throw to Mandy to start off with to sort of set the big picture, and then I'll get down to the finer detail of what the project looks like in the site.
Thanks, Karen. Thank you for coming, everybody. As Karen said, I'm from Makers Empire, and I am a primary teacher by heart, and most recently came out of DECD, the TEFL team, but about a year ago I joined Makers Empire. And Makers Empire is a company that's been going, a South Australian company that's been going for about 3 years. And during that 3 years, we've supported hundreds of primary school teachers and students around the world to get started with 3D technologies, using 3D technologies in ways that enhance learning outcomes for students. So I want to just talk a little bit about how 3D technologies can improve learning outcomes for students. Because I guess that there are lots and lots of things that we have up our sleeves as educators that make a difference. So why 3D printing? Well, I invite some students to speak for themselves. So I'm going to introduce you to English 6th class, who were divided into design teams, and each design team was asked to find a problem that somebody else was having and find a solution. So I'll let them speak for themselves. As you're watching this, think about what is it that the students got out of this experience? What kinds of things were they learning? What types of skills and dispositions were required? Or you think were required, because I'm going to show you 2 minutes of a project that went over 7 weeks. Oops, or maybe I'm not. It was playing. It's an error. It says that even though I was playing it a minute ago, it says that this computer doesn't have the software. I was definitely waiting to the software. Sorry, everyone. It was working 5 minutes ago. I've got it on mine. I've got it. I've got it on this.
Alright, while Mandy's getting that up on her microphone, it was playing like 5 minutes before you sat down. Just the way the text. Okay, so phase 1 of the project involved 28 schools and 6 of those self-funded. Makers Empire has a license that it offers and the department will pay that license for your site. And with the license comes a professional learning program on how to use the software and how to use 3D printing in design thinking in your site. So the project pays for that, but the sites themselves need to pay for release for the teachers to come on board and do the professional learning. In phase 1, there were a number of teachers involved in the Limestone Coast down in the southeast, so Magambia Way, and some northern schools. Some of you may know some of them that were involved. There was Salisbury and Salisbury High, and a few Elizabeth schools. What happened was teachers attended 2 days of professional learning and they created a unit of work around design thinking, and it could be design thinking in history or design thinking in the technologies learning area. But they had to combine the technologies design and technologies subject with one other area. So, and then create a unit of work, which I'll show you later. So that's a brief summary of the project.
Sorry,
That's
Karen,
okay.
thank you for being flexible. So, here are the Year 6s. What did they get out of this experience, do you
We started talking about different problems that people face in life. Mrs. Brown talked to us about her daughter Casey, and Casey has problems with her legs, so she needs to wear straps on them. The straps themselves become a problem because they kept falling off, so Casey wasn't able to have fun. And so we're at school that single table. Yeah. And nobody sees that away from their comfort. It needs to be comfortable, we just like yellow. Yeah. And so the Year 6 students at 6 people in school decided to work together to find a solution. It had to be safe and comfortable and effective. We trained to make this empire. Yeah. We'd use that for we had a success. There was created like blocker, we used blocks to create the clip. There was stuff like shaper, we have the draw with clip. Once we finished all our designs, we chose the top 3 designs to print them out. And in the printing process of one of our designs, we added a bit of the plastic came off one of our designs, so we had to tweak the settings and change a bit of the design to make it right. So we tested the clips on the doll. It was a good size so that if the baby did swallow the clip, it wouldn't choke on. Which was based on too small, don't come out properly. No, I think that one was good. It was comfortable, safe, effective, and the Year 6s solved the problem.
So just with the people at your table for a minute, what is it that you think the students got out of that experience? What are the benefits? Okay, what were some of the things that came out of that example for you?
The success they would have felt because they've actually seen the whole project through, they've seen the end result, so they've actually seen it from start to finish, they have control of it and make a difference.
Absolutely, so they followed the whole design process through to actually solve the problems with those real products. Anything else?
Creative thinking. So critical thinking is reflected in redesign.
They did, against criteria, success criteria that came out as a result of the project. What the problem they were trying to solve, it needed to be safe, comfortable, and effective. So that helped them to choose their top 3 designs to print and so on. So we're seeing lots of benefits from introducing 3D technologies into the primary classroom. Some of them that you just identified yourselves. We find that the whole idea of designing and being able to use 3D tools really promotes a growth mindset. It's about following the process through to come up with the best possible result. And if something goes wrong, it's not a disaster. Failures are actually an opportunity to go back, work out what happened, and to end up with a better result. So we're finding that engaging students in 3D technology as a design process really helps develop that idea of embracing failures as opportunities to learn and so on. What's already come out is that it actually is a tool that we can use to follow the whole design thinking process through, from generating ideas, identifying problems, right through to prototyping, testing, and coming up with a solution. And I think for the first time we've really had technology in our hands as primary teachers where you can get that end result. You can actually 3D print a clip or a solution. We'd like them to be quicker, but relatively quickly and much quicker than we have in the past. You know, in the past we might do design processes but end up creating something out of cardboard. So we're finding that this is a tool that creates real things. We've also had some really pleasing results for what 3D design experience does for students' spatial awareness. We've done a mini study with a school in Adelaide who noticed a really significant improvement in students' ability to do mental rotation, so to visualise objects and shapes from different perspectives. So you know those nap playing questions where there's a 3D object and then various ones at the bottom, which one is that rotated? So there was really pleasing results for that mini study. And if we think about, we know that spatial awareness helps us to follow maps and all that kind of thing, but also if we think about the world that we're now in and our students are heading into, and the ability to imagine possibilities that don't exist or to visualise things that they've never seen before, and how spatial awareness fits with that. And of course, as you saw, really lends itself to collaborative learning. In fact, we've got lots of examples of groups of students collaborating on design projects, but also students collaborating with students from other schools and even other countries. Yeah, so lots and lots of advantages of using this technology with students. And one of the things that is really important to us at Makers Empire is that this is not an extra on top of what teachers are already doing. It is actually something, it connects to what we're already expected to do and can actually enhance the way that we're doing that. So if you think about those Year 6 students I just introduced you to, and the way that they were demonstrating and developing lots of the general capabilities, obviously their ICT capability, but also their personal and social skills, the empathy that they were developing, for that young child, for example. And when we think about the Australian Curriculum for Technologies and how that's a thinking-based curriculum with systems thinking, thinking through connections and relationships, design thinking, thinking like designers through the whole process, and computational thinking, thinking like a computer scientist. We think about what 3D technology offers in terms of developing particularly the design thinking skills. So it's all there, and even though design thinking and computational thinking and so on live in the technologies curriculum, there are links across the curriculum that I'm sure that you can see. Those skills are really very much what current 21st century learning needs to look like. So what does Makers Empire do about all this? Well, Makers Empire has developed a complete solution to introducing 3D technologies into primary classrooms. So we have really easy to use 3D design software that's been explicitly designed for use by students in the reception to Year 8 age range. We also have a teacher's dashboard that I'll show you in a minute. That's a management tool that helps to teachers to manage students' designs and assess them and so on, as well as access all of our resources that help integrate this across the curriculum. We know that embedding any change or any new technology depends on support and learning. So our Makers Empire suite of resources comes with professional development and support along the way as well. So what I'm going to do now is to go into the software and just give you a quick preview. We have brought some iPads along that you can have a play later if you like. And also the software is a free download. You just need to visit makersempire.com and you can download this and have a play yourself. So what Makers Empire's 3D design software gives you are a range of different ways to design in 3D. Those ways are called modules. So if I go into the Shaper module, as the name suggests, the Shaper module is about designing things by combining shapes. So there's a huge library of shapes that are already in the software, and you can also draw your own. So it's got scope for a whole range of creative design challenges. Of course, we're working in 3D, so we need to be able to look at our objects from every angle, and we have a range of simple tools to manipulate them. If I turn that onto the side, I can access other tools. And when I said that we have really easy to use software, one of the things that meant was if you're using more technical, sophisticated CAD programs, you have to do a whole lot of calculations and things, whereas that's all happening behind the scenes here. So everything that you create in this software is 3D printable. So as long as my two objects are connected and touching, they will print out together. So it's saved to the cloud. These are all the designs that I've been making. Let's not look too closely at my skills. And we have lots of other different modules as well, including one mock-up, which students that are into Minecraft or pixel art are creating fantastic things. If we have a
scale 1 centimetre.
So we go back. So
Well done.
we've taken some advice about the elements of gamification that affect learning. So things like sticking with a design model there, embracing challenge, trying to go that next step and personalising your experience. So that's what that was all about. I was earning tokens then so I could get more shapes in my repertoire. So it starts off at the right as a 1 millimetre square, and I can have a cube, and I can change that up to a 5 millimetre. I was just going to go into the gallery and have a look at some of the much better designs than mine that we're seeing from some of the students that use our app. So, oops. The internet's having trouble keeping up with me, I think. Jeanette's not happy with me. Check. Inbuilt into this, apart from the design tools, we also have some support structures. It's obviously a free design space, open-ended design space, but we also have things like our challenge. We also have monthly competitions that are a design-based challenge. Yeah, it is the internet because that's meant to be government in a moment. But that's okay.
Sorry.
So that was an absolute quick look at the app, and I really encourage the software. I really encourage you to go in and have a look at that. But I wanted to tell you a bit of a story. Yeah. This example comes from one of our schools in phase 1, and at the beginning of the year 3-4 class, the teacher was looking to set up her class as a community of learning, setting up that classroom culture. So the design challenge was to design a class mascot that represented what was important to the class's learners. The students worked in pairs to design their mascots, and this particular pair of students, one of them is a really keen fisher person, loves fishing with his dad and particularly grandpa, and loves cuttlefish. The other student had always thought that a cuttlefish was actually called a cuttlefish, so their concept was born. Cuddles, caring for each other, that's what we do in our class. So they got their design concept started to be born. The boy that knew a lot about cuttlefish also knew that cuttlefish stick together and move as a mob. So they decided to design Cuddles the cuttlefish who cares for others and sticks together as a community of learners. So then the teacher announced that only one of the class mascots would actually be chosen to be 3D printed. So the students then had to persuade the class to vote for Cuddles. And the teacher was blown away at this point because she described both of these students as quite reluctant writers, and the writing that they produced, persuading others to vote for Cuddles, was much higher quality than they were usually doing, because they really, really wanted him to be chosen for an authentic reason. So eventually Cuddles was chosen and printed, and he now, to this day, spends his days rotating around from one student's desk to another. They were taking in turns, having him remind them to care for each other and stick together as learners. And they all value him because he was chosen as the mascot that represented the class. It wasn't about everyone having their design 3D printed. So, the boys, oh there we go, it's caught up with me now. So there, I'm in the gallery for blockers, so you can see some of the things that students have been designing by combining blocks. And some of the things from Shaper.
Is that just your gallery, or can you access anyone's work?
This is all the designs that have been created in the software, yes. There are privacy settings if you want it just to be your school, so it's that kind of school-based decision on whether you want to have that community of designs or whether you want it just to keep it to your school. I'm not going to push my luck with that. Okay, but what I did want to show you was it's all right. I was going to go in and show you what Cuddles looked like when it was designed in the app.
Maybe use my hotspot.
Would you like to have a play while we're doing that? Would you like to play with somewhere?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, we reached out.
Okay, so just got started. So when the two boys designed cuttlefish, they were in the shaper module, and this is what the mascot looked like at this point. So they combined shapes to make Cuddles the cuttlefish. So then what the teacher was able to do was to access the teacher's dashboard, which is the teacher tools that go with the design software. And what this is the home page for this particular teacher. And from here she can access all of her students' designs, which makes it much easier than having to go around to 30 iPads and look at 50 different designs on every iPad. So room 33, and if we go to Aiden, we can see there's Cuddles there. So what she could do was to view Cuddles in 3D and see what he was going to look like when he was 3D printed. And this was also a useful tool to display Cuddles for the class to get peer feedback that the two boys could respond to. So we can get with our 3D viewer, we can get a really good look at Cuddles and see what he's going to look like when he's printed in 3D. She was then able to download the design here, which creates what's called an STL file, which is just the sort of file that any 3D printer needs to read. So she's able to manage the whole printing process from here. She could send some feedback via a comment, and you can see that you might not be able to see, but she also used this as the voting to keep tally of the voting. You can see that he got 23 likes, which was nearly the whole class. Okay. Also in this, there is a bunch of resources that teachers can access here, including our lesson plan ideas. So we have loads and loads of different integrated examples of how you might use this technology in the classroom. These are constantly being added to, about between 2 or 3 new ones a week. From reception to year 8, they're all aligned to Australian curriculum, and they're all showing how you might integrate, for example, we'll go on the very hungry caterpillar, how you might integrate 3D design with literacy and science, looking at living things.
The ones down below Chinese, is that?
Yes, they are, because we've got Chinese and Korean schools, yes. Yeah. So we have different types of lesson plans. Some of them are ideas to get started, some are full units of work, but most of them have a similar format, what you'd expect to see in a lesson plan, how you're going to assess and so on. Then it's broken up into a lesson that teachers may or may not want to follow. They may want to just get their ideas from here. And it comes with resources to help. And right at the end, it's aligned to Australian curriculum. So as I said, we're developing this as a dynamic library of ideas that's being added to every week. It also has the facility for teachers to create their own lesson plans and build up their own library. And they're able to put all their resources in here, and I wanted to show you that they're also able to link it to Australian curriculum and whatever the TEFL elements or that they're focusing on as well. So I think they are the key things that I wanted to show you in the teacher's dashboard. Oops. So Makers Empire's solution to help primary schools integrate 3D technology has the software specifically designed for primary school students, the professional support that comes from my role really in the company, and a whole lot of management tools for managing designs and making that as easy as possible, but also help with integrating into the curriculum. So it's not just 3D design, 3D printing lessons, it's actually about using that technology to improve learning. I think I've gone way over time, but thank you for assisting with that technology.
So you can continue playing while I'm talking. I was just going to explain why DECD has partnered with Makers Empire and what we learned from phase 1 and what we're hoping to do in phase 2. Well, I'll throw it in for them as well. Is that right?
Sure.
Okay. So, as I said, the phase 1 pilot went ahead this year, 28 schools, and we learned some lessons through that process. So 2 teachers from each school was released. Where there were 3 teacher schools, this became quite a demand. So places like Plainview that have a principal and 2 teachers, they found it difficult to release 2 teachers. So what we thought was we would really like the professional learning to spread to the whole site. So rather than just training those 2 teachers, what we thought we'd do is get a teacher or 2 to come from your site and to get trained as the expert, the go-to person, but that we would support you with professional learning at your site, and Mandy would do that to help grow their skills at your site. And then we also learned that if you're working within a partnership, it's the support, the peer support is much more powerful. It's not up there, I can't believe it's not up there. We learned a lot about 3D printers and safety. So when I first took the project on, I knew very little about 3D printers. Just thought you could just go to Aldi and get a $500 model and stick it in your classroom. Apparently not. So I had to work with the workplace safety people, and they came up with some guidelines about what is the minimum safety standards. They were on the desk as you walked in, so if you didn't get one, you can get one on the way out. And what that meant for our schools was that for a printer to be compliant, they were about $3,000, which was a bit out of reach of most primary schools. So what's happened since then is the manufacturers have listened to what we've said, and they've created models that are compliant, that are about the $900 mark now. So they've come down in price, and they're more compliant.
And those 2 compliant ones are just at the back there, so we'll just put them so you can see yourselves.
I'll briefly talk to you, and then you can play and have a look. So that was another thing we learned. We also learned that in primary schools they prefer not to use ABS plastic because it fumes. PLA plastic is biodegradable and made from corn syrup. So I learned a lot about 3D printing since the beginning. The other thing we found was that we really needed teachers to collect data about what was happening in the classroom, and there wasn't a tool for doing that. So now we've developed one online. We use SurveyMonkey. It's 79 questions for primary, and there's about 18 questions for junior primary. We know it's a lot, that's a big ask, but the data is really important for us to justify continuing the project and the success of the project. So I'll show you what some of the data showed us as well. I have got safety, excellent. Right. The need for ongoing support, that's that stuff about when you need support at your site, men come out, or some people that work with Makers Empire to come out and provide professional learning, but also Makers have an online support structure. Yep. So if you get into trouble, you can chat online with someone like Roland who knows all about it. Okay. They developed 23 units of work. These I put onto a Moodle. I'm not even going to try and go on the Moodle, but I will send you this PowerPoint presentation because I've got all your email addresses. If you didn't sign up through Eventbrite, just put your email address in the sign-in sheet and I'll send it to you. So we put them up on Moodle. They're in draft form. We are quality assuring and going through and trying to develop them into a more fleshed out models of work, but they were like the first going. So what the data told us, that I collected data from the participant teachers from the beginning and the end, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of that. So I asked them what was their technical knowledge of how to operate in 3D printing, and the blue is minimal. That's at the start of the project and at the end of the project. Still a few people, but you can see there was quite a shift in people's understanding of how to use it. The likelihood of including new and emerging technology. Green is extremely likely, yellow very likely, so it's a bit blurry, and red somewhat likely, and blue unlikely. So there was no one unlikely, and a lot of people decided that they would be much more keen to put new and emerging technology into their learning programs. Another one was about confidence to teach STEM subjects, because we do focus on the technology learning area and how that can be used in other integrated interdisciplinary ways with science, technology, engineering and maths. There were small shifts with the students. So we had a section that was all about engineering and technology, and we asked them, I like to imagine creating new products, and so you can see it goes never, really, sometimes, most of the time, always. That was before the project, that's after the project. So we can see small shifts in students' dispositions towards learning technologies. I would like to use creativity and innovation in my future work. So they were able to make connections with what they might be doing in the future. That's some increases there. And I'm good at building and fixing things. There was an improved disposition towards that. And then there's one more. Yeah, knowing how to use maths and science together will show me how to implement useful things. So the department has a very strong STEM focus. You've probably seen it all coming out to the school. There's STEM everywhere. And we, primary teachers need to, are needing to be able to integrate science, technology, engineering and maths. They do that anyway, but the focus is on improving the capacity and building the capacity of primary teachers to do that. This is a really great way of getting an entry point for teachers to do that. Some of the things that they came up with in the units of work were one group of students down in the southeast. They created, they designed butterfly feeders, so they had a garden and they wanted to attract native butterflies, so they created these butterfly feeders. The one that's pictured is a Play-Doh cutter. So some of the kids were talking about how the tools that you get to cut Play-Doh are prefabricated and you can't have any control over what you created. So they created new Play-Doh cutters in Maker's Empire so that they could go and create their own designs. Other things that were created were, there was a unit called Tools and Technologies Over Time, so Aboriginal tools in traditional Aboriginal communities, and then contemporary tools and what they look like and how they might make something and design something in Maker's Empire. So there were lots, what we wanted to get out of it was authentic problems and have many designs, and that the kids could see the future possibilities. Okay. So we provide a blended professional learning, so we have a couple of teachers come out and do the learning about the teacher dashboard and software, so that we can have some champions in your site that will spread the word. We ask that people do some data collection, pre and post, and that you collect work samples along the way and develop a unit of work. So that's what's required as in participation. But we provide ongoing support, and at the end there'll be a showcase. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I think you've done very well.
Time frame, maybe?
Oh yes, is that what you're going to ask? Time frames?
No, it's that data collection shared at the local level. So if we gather that data for you, do we get feedback on that?
Yes, so we'll create a survey in SurveyMonkey with your school site, and you'll have access to that data.
Cool.
Yeah. So you can use it for anything. You don't have to use it just for this project. And it goes over 10 weeks. We found that 20 weeks was too long and people lost motivation. So 10 weeks was enough for people that have a play and try something new. Okay, did you want to offer it again?
Yep, no, and just the important thing is it's, because we have come across a lot of schools who had bought 3D printers, but after initially printing some models, it's like where to next. So I think it's, for us, it's schools are investing in these technologies already. It's about trying to use that to spread that across to not just for a particular class or after school or just in the library, just about to show, I think, teachers, the confidence ability that you can use this for all areas of the curriculum, especially in STEM learning. So that's really the big emphasis from us, and we're big on that. And we try to make sure that just the program, the software is just easy to use for that, so to facilitate that, but also with the dashboard, if you can save 5 minutes of the teacher's time, we'll write the code to save 5 minutes. We'll find it, we'll figure it out, but just give us feedback and then we'll improve that. So it's a continuously evolutionary program itself, just like the lesson plan ideas, 2 or 3 gets new added every week. And the printers that we recommend, and when we talk to the department as well, it's got to be easy to use and reliable, especially in the primary. It's different from the high school, so we've tailored everything for the primary school environment. And it's just, and so I think it's, because if you have a bad experience, that breaks down, you get frustrated, you ain't going to use that. The whole program falls apart in itself. So I think we're here to support you. I think it's on your journey, and to try that, I think it's spread that across the school itself.
And the reason we're partnering is because there's a lot of software out there that's free that you can able to use, but it does require students to understand how to manipulate CAD. So receptions 1s and 2s can use this software, create something from scratch just by drawing, and then print it. So they can give it to an adult who will then download the STL file and put it into export into a CAD software eventually. But they can actually, as young as 5 years old, can be designing this, and there isn't a solution like that anywhere else. There isn't a total package of being able to go online and find all those resources and connections that are online. All right, so we'll come around and help you with the software if you want to have a play. But is there any questions before I go on? Yeah.
I've got a few. Is that
right? Yeah.
I know this is about 3D printing, but I'm curious to go right back to the beginning and understand why the department chose 3D printing particularly to do this study and not some of the other technologies. I'm sorry if you covered it.
No, I didn't cover it, no. We are doing other technologies, but this particular project focuses on 3D printing because it was a new and emerging technology, and we found that schools were going out and buying them and printing like 30 copies of the McHappy Meal toy, and there was no common learning behind that. It was a new tool. It was exciting. It was fun, but there was no solid learning behind it. So the Premier has a relationship with Makers Empire and saw that we could perhaps partner together and create a solution for teachers with this particular technology.
Just on that, because we're a South Australian company, just the founders are all from Adelaide, and we've also, it's on technology and innovation, and we've also exported the program to the US and to China as well. So we've got a bunch of schools and partnerships with education departments in New York as well. I think it's so the Premier sees that as being, I think it's, and also sees the 3D printing as an industry that has potential to disrupt the way we do things. It's also trying to skill the students here. I would say in 15, 20 years' time, they're going to be the future world-class engineers, scientists, especially with the submarine contract as well. And we want to try to keep the jobs here local, but also try to create this whole innovation and startup scene. So then more of these young students will become entrepreneurs, build great businesses, and you hire people here. So that's really, so the whole thing works with that as well.
And the Makers Empire guys themselves are a great example of what we want for our kids. Like Anthony went to Kilburn High, Roland went to Birdwood High. Oh, sorry, Enfield High, wasn't it? And Kilburn Primary and Birdwood High, yeah. So apart from what they're trying to do, they're a really great role model for kids.
Yeah, sorry, sounded like a pretty top.
That helps.
And other questions?
Yeah, my other question was, phase 2 talks about that 50 selected schools will receive a new site license for 2017 the Makers Empire software. Are you able to give us an indication as to what the ongoing costs might be for the school post phase 2?
Yep, I can probably cover that. So just to see that the Makers Empire 3D printing learning programs, entire school-wide use of all the software, the dashboard, all the teaching staff within the school, that's priced at $1,999. per year. That's the ongoing investment. But then on top of that, what we're doing with the Department of Education, we're providing the PD support as well. So we'll have the on-site support, and it's and that's obviously different schools. And it's may require 2-hour PL workshops, or I get some Monday PD support. That's depending on the school. That's going forward. But as part of the phase 2, that's all wrapped in. And it's part of the service. Okay.
Okay, cool.
I've got more.
I was just wondering, are you looking in terms of the phase 2 for the selected schools, you look at the schools that are partnering up with other schools to share learning? Is that
Better,
one of the things that you are looking for?
it's better if you are, you won't be excluded if you're not, because there's, I've already had tangible already recommend say, I'm the principal and I've got one of the teachers. And we're kind of on our own here, so we'll be excluded, absolutely not. It is better for you and we're learning to partner with us.
I'll just add to that, just from our experience with phase 1, we tried 2 models. We tried the Limestone Coast partnership down in Mangam, and we tried one in the northern suburbs where it's loosely, just to see the impact. We found that I think it's doing the partnership models was a bit more effective, because then it's in terms of logistics and organisation, but also just getting that community, the sharing of that community.
So on that, Karen, I've got 4 schools in my partnership that want to be involved. Can I just write one application for the 4, or I need 4 different school applications? I know the names are different on the back, up the second page. I can do a different one for each school for that, but can the first page just be one application for all schools?
Anything? You've got more questions? You've got questions?
Yeah, you've got a chance of being selected if you need that. I did have a serious question, mate. I don't know if you've mentioned this and I missed it, but we're programming the iPad, but you still use the desktop and the mouse to click and drag.
Oh, yes,
So
yes,
it's not
it works
dependent
on,
on iPad.
no, it works on all platforms, so
devices.
desktops, Mac, Windows, Android. Yeah.
And I'm assuming that the cost of the printer itself is us, well, it's not. You might be able to set that you're finding out.
We don't, well, no, we don't have a set of people working out. You don't actually have to buy one. You can, there are other ways to get your prints done. And even when schools have got one, we don't suggest that you print the same thing out for over 30 kids. We want the kids to be thinking about the sustainability of that and all that sort of thing. So you would kind of select things to be printed based on the whole design process that's gone beforehand. So you can use third-party printers, and Magazine Farm will do a paper print need it, or you can purchase your own. The reason we get you to purchase your own is because you have to select the one that you want and do the risk assessment that goes with it. If you're worried about doing a risk assessment, I've done a model of one that I can send to you.
And that's a good leading question. So I'll touch on the cost of the printers then. I think if that's of interest. You can see the one that's recommended, that's the Upbox printer. I think it's at the back there, the big one. That's good for in a fixed location. It's quite heavy, like if you want to put in a library or in a makerspace and that. That's just under $3,000, just so that you're aware in terms of the pricing. But for us, when we see the, that's a bit expensive. That's a bit expensive, especially for I think it's a primary school environment. So we will always suggest, if you're just getting started, it's go for the one that's below the $1,000 investment range, and the one that we recommend, it's the Up Mini 2. That's the one there on the left. It's smaller, and that's $900, and that's portable as well. And it's and there is other, I think it's printers out there, but I wouldn't suggest that you spend more than $5,000. Go crazy on it, because the hardware is just moving so quickly. It gets outdated quite quickly, 18 months, 2 years. But that one, those ones meet all DECD requirements. It's got the filter, the air filter and everything. Because then, as you know, when you do, because the way it works, it heats up. So I think it's so it does exhibit a little bit of fume. So, but with these two, you don't have to worry about vented areas at all. And then the ongoing cost, though, and that you need to think through. It's the filament. So that's the plastic thing that gets printed out on. We suggest the cornstarch, the PLA one. I think that's a lesson in itself in terms of sustainability, environmental friendly and that. But it's a kilo of that, it's about $70. And if you're a school with 500 students, 5 kilo is more than enough to last you a year, because the way that we've packaged done the program, you don't want to be printing every single thing. So that will be about $350. Yeah, I think that should be your ongoing hardware consumer use, just to keep that. I think it's back in your mind, please.
I remember last time our school reviewed this was option for leasing and with renting a machine.
Yeah.
And with that came on-site technical support from those companies. Is that something we still offer? So if it breaks down, we call them, they come out and fix it.
Yeah, it's the way I would, just with these printers, the ones that we recommend, these are quite reliable and it's quite easy to use. And the way it's come in, if you within that price, you've got the 12-month warranty on it. So if there's a parts, that it doesn't work, it will get replaced for you. And it's but then also you can buy extended warranty for 2 years as well. It's just an extra couple of $100 as well. It's just something to think through. But I think what we do though, I think we want to make sure that you get the best experience, the whole experience. So if you can purchase these printers through us as well. And what I'll do with that though, I can include some training and all that stuff. So say if anything goes wrong, just give us a call. And we're in Adelaide. We'll fix it. Yeah, I think it's it's not again, because if you're part of the program, we want to make sure that you don't have issues with the hardware as well. Okay, so that's.
You can lease them as well. That's an option. There are companies that do this. So I'm from Christopher, which is 2 hours from here.
Yeah.
But you come see me too, and it's $120.
Well, I think it's again the way it's emerging technology. It's like it's quite easy the way they fix it. There's only a couple of things. It's just a nozzle piece,
But we can offer support.
Absolutely.
Phone or video.
Absolutely.
Roland's done that a lot.
We've done that, yeah.
Not Gambia is further.
We're a multi-platform school. We use iPad, Macs, and we use Windows laptops, and we have a BYU program to sort of run the full spectrum.
Yep.
As far as licensing, we buy a license from you, we get a license from you. How many machines does that go on? Do you just put it on a bank of iPads and share it around?
The way it's done, it's based on per student. So it's so the whole school, if your school's got 500 students, every single student can have a user account. So it's not device dependent.
Yep.
So I think the software works on all devices, and they can use that account for home as well. I think it's on their home device, but it's a school license. It links in to the school license, so you better manage the students' work. So you better view that.
So if you go home, I can set them home.
Absolutely.
Create something. I go to the dashboard, print it off the next day.
Absolutely. And one of the things, one of the feedback which we've got from the phase 1 as well, from some of the teachers, was they wanted to be able to, on the dashboard, to be able to create tasks and assignments for the student. So we're building that right now. Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. See, it's a lot quicker than I thought. So just to, and then the other thing to be aware of is that these are the 2 printers, that we'll recommend. It meets the DECD requirements. There'll be other printers as long as you've got, I think it's fully enclosed with the vent and that. But the software works with any 3D printers because there's 400 different brands out there. I think it's we don't know which one's going to win the hardware war, so we just made sure that it works with any of the 3D printers on that. So you don't have to worry about that at all.
Okay, did you have any questions?
Just with the internet stuff, like obviously you tested out in some rural, remote, regional schools. What is the dependency on having internet access at all? Do you need it at all?
The software works without internet. So the students, if the internet goes down, the students still make designs, but you do need the internet to come on for the design to get saved up into the dashboard or the cloud.
And then you'd be able to download the SQL.
Correct. You need that. Yeah. You need that.
So they can
the
just-
teacher dashboard functionality would work or not? If you didn't have internet?
No, you need the internet out because it's web-based. It's web, so you got to.
Okay.
Yeah. You need
So
that.
the student can design, and sorry, my question. They can design, and if they're offline, once the device comes online, it will upload afterwards, so they can still do
So
it.
the software is
Offline.
If they're like designing something, and then they only can't finish it, and it goes up to the cloud. And then they want to go on it the next day, but there's no internet, they can't access it all.
Will still be saved to their device.
The same as like,
Yeah.
and you can go edit it. They can go and edit the design.
Do you want to stay back and talk to us? I'm more interested.
I'm just more interested in the teachers and what challenges they've got in terms of, what apprehensions they've got about bringing technology into the classroom.
They started off very apprehensive and felt like we're going to be able to manage this, but all of them found that software makes it really easy for kids to design, and by setting or downloading an SQL file, that the designs are not actually working, and they don't have that knowledge. All right, I'll let you go for some dinner, and if you want to hang back and play with software talk to us, please do. Thank you very much for attending.
Too good.
That was a good leading about what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I'll send you the presentation. Bye.